Hello, welcome to Flory Models Daily Vlog. Here we are, Tuesday, 23rd of June 2015, and as you can see, we're in a right old mess, covered in filler dust, as you can tell. We are pushing on nicely with the Typhoon. To be honest, it's how we thought. Rebel kits, brilliant pricing, good subject matter, and the kits themselves aren't too bad, okay? You know, generally they've got everything you want. You've got your recessed panel alignment, some nice detailing and all the rest of it. It's just that they're a little bit clumsy when it comes to ejector pin locations. They tend to be all over the place. And then some of the flash and issues things can slow you down a little bit. To be honest, that's what I spent a lot of time doing here. You can probably see on some of these parts here, you've got lots of flash and they all need to be scraped off. So to be honest, I've started off being quite sort of delicate and lazy with it. And precise with it, and using fine skinny sticks and all the rest of it. Now I'm sort of in there with sort of a coarse normal big stick and just tearing them off and then sanding in. The biggest problem I've been finding is because the parts are very much thin together, they sandwich extremely close. The tail was a classic example. The ejector pins, you've got a small little rise there, you get two halves together, they just do not fit whatsoever. So you spend your time going along flattening out large ejector pins. So again, it's easier just to pop in there a couple of seconds with a coarse sanding stick than it is to think about going in there with a fine one and being delicate with it. That said, we're all going together very nicely. We're in a situation where down on the bottom here, we've installed what we've needed to get away. We've got down here some seamless intakes, straightforward fill the job and sand it. And I've just started putting in all the doors, which actually do fit in quite nicely. I was going to be a bit sort of horrified looking at some of the ways it went in. Again, a little bit of flash issues, things like that. Not too bad. Got a little bit of a gaps where it's not a brilliant fit, but generally we're getting there. This nose one went in no problem at all. So we haven't got that usual hassle of being slowed down building gear, for instance, because gear can take quite a long time, sorting it out, painting it especially, and things like that, because obviously you've got to then do the steps behind, paint them first, then mask them over. We've got none of that. So actually it's coming together really, really quickly. Sorting out the wiring as we're making our way through this one. To be honest, because the wings are so thin, extremely thin on the wingtip, what we've had to do is channel out the actual grooves into them. So I put some grooves down in here. This is literally just a test bit, but you can probably see we've got a little bit of a groove running down there, so we can get the wiring down to feed in, no problem at all. The ones that come in the kit are all very well, these ones, but they have these massive great tabs, which are great. And originally I was thinking about actually installing it in like this, so we could have it like a plug-in unit. But to be honest, it's too much hassle. It's going to be a lot easier just to fit these, solder the LEDs directly onto the end of the wire, and then we can put a little bit of the old heat shrink around each end of the terminals, protect it, and then what we can actually do is hot glue it or just tape it like this into the actual said area. Okay, but we need to have the wires running flat. It is that tight down here. But then generally what will happen is these will just come in, if I get it to lay in. Probably need to lay it down a bit flatter, and then as soon as you get into the midsection of the wing, it's not too bad at all. We can get it in here as long as these are out. They can have obviously the actual LED put in. We can sand down the LED, make it a little bit smaller, paint it, make it more realistic, and then get those fitted on. I don't think I'm going to have any problem with that. The top one, again, that's a really straightforward, easy one to go in for the actual blinker on the top. The problem one is the underside one, because obviously that fits right down underneath this intake. Now there is a small gap, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill from the outside, do the LED and everything from the outside, and push it from the outside in. So we'll feed the wires in, and then we can pull them all out the way and all the way back. No means a problem like it was, for instance, when we were trying to do the wiring for the LED lighting that we had in the front of the sofa, because running those wires back, there was just no room whatsoever because we had a resin cockpit. We didn't have that particular trouble with this one. If I'm honest, I wish I'd gone with a photo etch cockpit for this particular one. I think if I'd gone for that, it would just given it a better look. And at the moment, I'm still in two minds of literally just biting the bullet, whip out and get, or order in, I should say, a photo etch cockpit for it. Colour one, be done, because I'm just looking at it in here and it's awful. I have done some test fitting earlier. We had the seat installed, and we popped that in. We got the pilot figure we're going to be using, obviously he's minus his legs, and I think that by the time he's all in there, we're not going to have a problem. We're not going to see too much. The canopy's going to be closed down. We've got the barring from the canopy and everything else. I think, you know, it's just going to be passable. We're going to scrape it. Hindsight, I wish I'd done it, and there's still that big part of them saying just go out and get one, quickly pull this off, redo it, and away we go. It's just run a bit of a time factor, and I am running through this one quite nicely. As I said, it's going to be not so much of a problem with the build with this, but I can imagine we're going to stumble against some issues when we come to fit the wings, because we've got this nasty seam down the side here. We need to do that. We're going to scratch build the APU. I think we mentioned it before. We're going to put one of those in shortly and get that in. But generally, I have to say, it's coming together really quickly. And when you think of the price, as I say, these kits, you can pick them up at the moment. Creative had them on sale not so long ago. I don't know if they still are, but they're in the £25 bracket. It was like absolute no money at all for a lot of plastic. And to be honest, even if you're doing it straight out of the box, forgetting the lackings of the cockpit, it's not too bad detail. But if you did want to run in and go over the top of this one completely, obviously you can get now, I think the intakes you can definitely get the wheel wells, resin replacements, resin cockpit, all the photo etch you could ever shake a stick at to actually on this. But as you can see, it's a big old lump. She's coming together. I've got the nose here somewhere. Okay, so where's our nose? There's our nose. It's going to go in again. Nasty bit of flash and the bits and pieces all on there like that. But this is the size we're talking about for this one, so she's going to be a nice size. I think by the time we get it up in the near vertical and we do this thing with the actual the pipes coming out of the back, I can't think of their name now. You know the ones I mean, the sort of polycarbonate coming out the back and all the rest of it. I think it will look really, really nicely. Not sure about putting the lighting system in the back of that yet. We might be just going on with blinkers and that, because I do like doing that smoke effect, and I want it to somewhat go along with what we've already got as well, because it might end up on the same base, having a big base with multiple aircraft all in the vertical, so it looks like a giant palm tree. I'm thinking, I know, getting ahead of myself, but generally I must admit we are getting there. Part one of the editing, that one is done already, which basically is just before we got here, so that one is up. That's going to go up on Friday for you. Obviously don't forget, we are not here next week. The site is still open. You can still join membership and all the rest of it. I'm only over in Tenerife with Snap, so that's no problem. I can still let you in, let you out, and all the bits and pieces. If you're ordering stuff from the shop, you can order, but obviously stuff will not be actually sent until the weekend when we get back. Okay, so obviously all of next week, no orders are actually going to be sent, but you can place orders. That's no problem, because we're only away for a week, and then we'll get them out to you as soon as we get back. No live show tonight, as you know, because obviously we do it every other week now on a fortnightly basis, so Sid's having a night off. Me though, at 7:30 I'm going to do a live photo bucket tutorial about putting photos on the site. Now it's only going to be about half an hour, but I'm going to open up a forum thread in the usual thing for the actual doing the chat site we do, the hangouts and things like that. So that will be in the forum. So if you've got any questions, post them up in there. I've got my multi-monitors all going, so I can show you on one screen and on the other, and I can talk to you as well face to face, because hopefully it's all going to be no problem at all. I'll sit over there and be able to show you in real time how I do it, the different ways of doing it and everything else, and hopefully get around some of the problems. So I'll show you taking a photo with my iPhone, transferring that and uploading it to PhotoBucket, from PhotoBucket then onto the forum, and then displaying your images and everything else. It's going to be recorded as well, so if you can't watch it live tonight, don't worry about it. As soon as it's finished airing, it will become live stream anyway, and I'll put it into the tutorial section and in the photographic section on the forum as well. But it'll just be a little thing. It may be even run to an hour. Not sure yet how far we're going to go, but it's just a little thing to help, because I know a load of you had a bit of trouble doing your photos we spoke about yesterday for the final group builds and things like that. So there we go. That's it for today. Back tomorrow, where hopefully we'll have this pretty much together.